Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 recently came out about a week ago, and I'm assuming there's a lot of new people not just to this game, but to the series. Now, if you didn't play Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, then you might think that the combat feels quite a bit, quirky, we'll say. It is very different from other games as you can select each individual body part. There's also a lot of other little niches and quirks in the game, such as in early game, you get absolutely demolished. The areas aren't easier just because you're a lower level, for the most part. So in today's video, I wanted to go through and give you guys some tips and tricks on how to get better at Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, as well as some little item locations that you could probably find useful. Before the video starts, I would like to quickly say that this game is best played your own way. So I'm not going to give you a certain build to go for. I'm not going to give you a certain weapon that you have to use. I'm just going to give you some options for an early game build before you can go out into the later game and make your own build. If there's a certain thing that you want to look at, like a certain tip or something, like how to make Groschen Fast or something like that, I will have it all in chapters. So you can either go down into the description and look at all the chapters timestamps, or you can just scroll through the video and find what chapter you're looking for. Now, once you're into the open world and you've gotten at least a little bit of gear, which I'll help you with later, you're going to want to end up and go finding Mutt. Now, Mutt is the only companion, to my knowledge, in the entire game that stays with you the entire time and doesn't go away unless you piss him off or something. Now, once you're put into the open world, you're actually going to be getting a quest about Mutt, so you can go ahead and find Mutt. Just follow that quest, and eventually you'll end up finding Mutt. If you want a little tip about this quest, I went and talked to the old lady that helped patch us up, and then I went and talked to the gamekeeper's wife over here in this area in the map. Go and save the gamekeeper, and then the gamekeeper will tell you where you could possibly find Mutt. Now, Mutt's super useful in the early game, especially since you're going to be outnumbered in most fights, and you're going to be just outmatched in most fights. You're not going to have the best fighting skills, you're also not going to have the best weapons either. So Mutt can really help by making the enemies turn around, giving you a nice little chance to give them the free hit to the back, or something like that. Now, talking about gear, I'm going to show you the quickest way to get yourself fully kitted up in the early game. Now, this is going to require thieving, stealing, taking what's not yours. So if you're not exactly into that and that's not the type of playthrough you're going for, I'll show you some treasure locations later on that will have some weapons there for you. So to get this early game gear by stealing, you're going to want to go up to this guard and pickpocket him. This might take a few tries, so use one of your Saviour Schnapps right here and save behind him so that way you can just reload and basically save scum if you mess up. You're going to want to pickpocket the keys, which are usually going to be on the lower end of the circle. So you're going to have to click to open the door, and then once you see the keys, you're going to have to click on it again, and then make your way all the way up to the open door at the very top of this pickpocketing circle. Just wanted to put that there in case, you guys didn't play the first game and you don't know how pickpocketing works in this game. It's a little different than, say, Skyrim or something like that. Now that you have your keys, you're going to want to just follow exactly where I go, and you're going to want to end up using the key on this door right here. You're going to want to make sure no one sees you doing that, go in there, close the door behind you, and you're going to want to loot all this stuff in here. Yes, you're going to be over encumbered, but you can go ahead and sell this stuff at another location, or put in your player chest, or on your horse if you have one already. Now you're going to want to follow me over to this next area, and this is where there's going to be even more equipment as well as more actual armor for yourself. You're going to want to grab that, and now you should be fully kitted. Just do not wear any of this stuff inside of Troskowitz because they're going to know that it's stolen. In this game, people will know it's a stolen item that you're wearing. So you can't, like, say, pickpocket someone, take a shoe off of them, and then put the shoes on and talk to them because they'll instantly know, hey, you stole that from me. What the fuck are you doing? So do not use any of this stuff while in Troskowitz. You can feel free to do so outside of this area, but when you're in Troskowitz, you really just shouldn't wear it because the chance that you get caught by a guard is very high. And if you don't talk to that guard and just end up evading them, you'll then be wanted in that area for around 3 in-game days. Next, you're going to want to go ahead and head over to this part of the map, which is called Semin, and you're going to want to go over to the stables. Our horse, Pebbles, which we lost in the prologue, as I'm assuming you know, is going to be here, and you can actually talk to this guy, and if your charisma is high enough, you can convince him that it was actually your horse before, and you really just want to get it back. Now, Pebbles is probably one of the worst horses in the game when you first get it, but I'll give you a tip later that will transform Pebbles into literally the best horse in the entire game. Now, having a horse is going to help you so much with the early game, traveling around and discovering stuff on the map, because I don't know anyone who just wants to run everywhere. That shit is, well, it takes quite a while. For the next tip, I'm going to give you a quick early source of Groschen or money, and this is going to be very easy. Whenever you get into a fight with some bandits or enemies of any sort, you're going to want to go ahead and loot their body body for all of their most high valued items, including any Groschen that they end up having on themselves. Now, if you're taking this off of a bandit, it's not going to be flagged as stolen because it was a bandit. They probably stole it anyway, so you're really just reclaiming if you think about it. However, if you end up killing, say, a nobleman who's just walking across the street and take stuff off of him, it's going to be counted as stolen, so you're going to have a harder time wearing that in most areas or ending up, selling that in most areas as well. You can also end up stealing, like we did for our early source of gear. You can end up doing that as well, and that will end up giving you a decent chunk of change, because a lot of people keep a decent amount of Groschen on them in Troskowitz, and also they end up keeping stuff like wooden rosaries, which can sell for only around $10, still sells for a decent amount for the early game, as well as gear. Some gear, like kettlebell helmets that are in decent condition, can sell for upwards of 100 to 300 Groschen, which is a very high chunk of change for the early game. Another way to get Groschen very early on is going to be looking for treasures. Now, you do not have to find a treasure map to find these treasures, but you can find treasure maps on some wandering civilians or bandits and stuff like that. However, if you don't want to go ahead and find those treasure maps, I'm going to show you two very easy and very profitable treasure areas right here. So the first area is going to be a cave. You're going to want to just follow my exact path when you go into this cave. I will show you everything worth looting in here, including 2 ancient moonshines, which can sell for upwards of 900 Groschen, I think. And also, you're going to find a decent amount of Groschen in here, as well as other items that will sell for a decent amount of Groschen too. You're also going to end up finding a schematic for blacksmithing in here, which is going to be very useful to us as well. Now, the next treasure area is much easier. It's going to be off of a bandit map, and it's basically going to be pointing towards this tree here. However, the treasure is going to actually have been washed away by the stream, so you're going to want to go over to this very green, goopy type of area, and you're going to end up finding the treasure right there. It's going to net you a decent amount of Groschen and also some items that are worth keeping or selling. Now, moving ahead, we're going to be talking about some of the best early game perks to be taking in the game. Now, KCD 2 has no shortage of skills. There's over 270 skills in this game, and you can obtain most of them except for, say, the few that require one skill to be taken or another. However, I'm going to be running down the best early game perks from a plethora of the different skills. I'm going to be giving you the best perks to pick. Now, by no means am I telling you what your build should be or this is the one build you need to use, but if you are struggling in the early game and you want to just know the best perks for early game, then I will be giving those to you right now. The first perk is going to be Liberal Arts, which is a perk that shows you the skill check's difficulties. So say you're doing a skill check for blacksmithing, it will tell you whether that skill check is going to be easy, medium, hard, or very hard. And then you can go from there with the difficulty compared to the amount your level is at. Say you have a 17 level and a skill check is very hard, you're not going to have the best chance of actually clearing that skill check and it working. It could still work, but you don't have the best chance, so maybe you'll decide, maybe I don't use this skill check, say it was to lie or something, and instead I will just agree. Now, this is in the scholarship category and it requires a minimum level of 10, so it's not really that high of a level. Next perk is going to be Train Hard, Fight Easy, which is a great perk for using some of the best weapons in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. This is basically going to be reducing the strength requirement for certain weapons by 5 points. This is going to reduce the amount of strength points you need to actually wield some weapons, which is very useful for early game because Henry's a weak boy in the early game. Opportunist or Charming Man are both great perks to take. It basically helps Henry manage his reputation inside of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. This is going to require you to be level 6, and it's going to be in the category main level. Choose whichever one fits your playstyle more. Just read them both and pick whichever one is going to actually, fit your playstyle the most out of those two. They're both great options, so pick either one. Don't feel like you're missing out. Flower Power is a good early game perk as well, and this is going to be in the survival category, and you're going to get it at level 8. So basically, this perk is going to make it so Henry has a +2 bonus to charisma when he has more than 30 herbs inside of his inventory. The herbs also must be in good condition. Now, my favorite perk inside of the craftsman skill tree is going to be Razor Sharp. Sharpened weapons are going to gain a bit more damage when Henry, sharpens them himself. You can do this at any of the sharpening wheels dotted across the map. Basically, anytime you see a blacksmith, they're going to have a sharpening wheel. Take whatever weapon you're going to be using, whatever sword you're going to be using at least, or even some axes, and I think there's some other weapons that can use it as well. You're going to go and sharpen it up into 97, 99, and it's going to have the razor sharp perk activated little symbol in the top right of your screen, so you'll know that you've done it. This is going to grant a decent damage boost of 10 plus damage, so it's going to help you a lot, especially in the early game. This also only requires level 6 in the craftsman category, so very good perk. Featherweight can make it so that way Henry doesn't take as much damage from falling. This is a very good perk as well, and you get in the agility category at level 6. Next to godliness makes it so that way Henry's health points can be healed by bathing. This is going to be in the vitality category, and it's going to require level 10. Pack meal is going to make it so Henry can carry around more, and he has a higher weight capacity, which is going to actually be in the strength category, and it's going to require level 8. Against all odds is going to make it so that way Henry is actually going to have more of a chance, especially in the early game, with fighting multiple opponents. It's going to buff his strength and other attributes, so that way he has a better chance of actually beating his opponents when you are fighting multiple bandits or just multiple enemies at one time. This is going to be in the warfare category at level 8. And the final one is going to be Showtime, which is one of the best combat perks inside of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. You're going to get it in the swords category at level 8. And basically, it's going to make it so that way, after executing a successful combo or the Master Strike, which we'll learn about later, you're going to have some of the stamina you spent restored. This is going to help a lot, especially in the early game when Henry has lower stamina. Now that we've went over the best perks in the early game, we're going to be going over the best ways to level up all of your skills. For any type of weapon, it's going to be in combat against bandits or just enemies. It's going to be the quickest way that you can possibly level up all of these things. Swords, pole weapons, axes, stuff like that, maces, it's all going to level up, including your warfare skill is all going to level up through combat. That's the quickest way. Craftsmanship is going to be via crafting, doing stuff like blacksmithing is my favorite way to do it. That's going to be the easiest way to end up leveling up craftsmanship. Survivalist is going to be doing things such as sleeping out in the woods, hunting, stuff like that is all going to help with your survivalist. And then marksman is going to be inside of weapons category, and the easiest way to level up this is going to be hunting, say deer and stuff like that is going to be the easiest way. This will also end up improving your survivalist at the same time, so there are two skills that are going to level up kind of at the same rate as each other. Alchemy, you're going to want to make just potions. You're going to want to make potions or brews, as they call them in this game. You're going to want to make stuff like that. The best one I can think of is going to be Saviour Schnapps, just because you're actually going to use Saviour Schnapps, and you're also going to be getting skills from doing Saviour Schnapps. The easiest way to make Saviour Schnapps, I will show you right now. You're basically going to want to take one hand of nettles. I usually buy dried nettles, or I dry my own nettles. That way I can kind of keep them on me for longer. You're going to want to take a hand of dried nettles and put that inside of your cauldron, which you should have wine in as well. You're going to want to pump the bellows 5 times, and then you're going to want to move down the cauldron so that way it can boil. You're going to let that boil for 2 turns of the sand timer. Then you're going to lift up the cauldron from the fire. You're going to put in 2 hands of belladonna, dried or fresh, into your mortar and pestle. You're going to crush that around, put that inside of your cauldron. You're going to move the pot down, and as soon as you see bubbles popping up, you're going to want to flip the sand timer and let it do 1 rotation of the sand timer, and then you're going to want to lift up the pot, grab a file, and then you should have 3 Saviour Schnapps. Now, if you did boil the belladonna for too long, you will end up getting weak Saviour Schnapps, which still works for saving, and it will just net you a little bit less XP for your alchemy stat. Houndmaster and Horsemanship are both going to be leveled up by, yeah, you guessed it, traveling around with Mutt, having Mutt kill people or attack people, and Pebbles, or just the Horsemanship, depending on what horse you use, it's going to be leveled up by using your horse, putting stuff on your horse as a little stash, because you can move stuff to your horse's inventory, another great reason to have a horse, and stuff like that, taking care of your horse. Thievery and Stealth are both going to be leveled up by being stealthy and stealing. I did this very easily for the Stealth one by just sneaking around an enemy encampment, not killing anyone, just sneaking around, not getting spotted. And then for the Thievery, it was mainly from lockpicking, which you can do. If you go over to the Miller, you can level up lockpicking very quickly through the tutorial, which is almost infinite. It's not actually infinite, but you can do it around 18 times, I think, or something like that. And then also just stealing stuff in general is going to up your thievery stat. Another great tip I can give you is to do every single side quest you see. This game rewards exploration. This RPG is not like, and I don't mean to slander Starfield, but it's not like Starfield. This game absolutely rewards your exploration. As where Starfield, exploring just felt more so like a thing they added just so they could say it's an RPG game. This game, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, it is going to be absolutely very important. It's probably going to be one of the best ways to make money, level up stats, and just get weapons, is going to be doing every side quest you see. Most of them don't even take too long, and a lot of them are just entertaining to do and entertaining to talk to, you know, the side quest givers and stuff like that. So I would recommend in the early game and even the late game when you get to the second area, it's going to be absolutely exponential that you go ahead and actually do all of the side quests that you see. A lot of them are fun, they give you good rewards, and on a second playthrough you can just do the ones that you know give you the best rewards or that you like the best. This tip's going to help you make Pebbles one of the best horses in the entire game. What you're going to want to do is ride around on Pebbles for 35 kilometers. You can check how many kilometers you have rode Pebbles for by going over to your player section in your inventory and all the way to statistics in the main statistics area, I think it is. Click on that and you will see kilometers ridden. You're going to want to ride 35 kilometers is what I had to do before I ended up getting the good old Pebbles perk, which makes it so that way Pebbles has a significantly higher carry rate, higher courage, higher stamina, and higher speed, making him one of the best horses, especially in the early game. He is the best horse in the entire game. And now I will show you how to learn the best sword technique and attack in the entire game, the Master Strike. If you played the first game, you might know that this was also one of the best inside of that game, but in this game it's been overhauled and it's even better. Now to do this, you're going to want to go to the Nomad camp here on the map, and you're going to want to go and see Tomcat. Now the first time you're going to fight Tomcat, it's going to be free, and you're just going to learn some basic combos with the sword, and then after that you will have to challenge him to a duel, which you have to win in order to actually let him teach you the Master Strike for free. Now this duel isn't really too hard. Get some gear and you should easily be able to beat him. I beat him on my first try and I didn't even have the best gear. And after you beat him, he will teach you the Master Strike, which is the best attack in the entire game, especially with swords. Basically, to do the Master Strike, you have to learn it from him. You cannot do this without learning it from him first. But I'll just give you a quick rundown. Whenever an enemy is going to attack from the left, you're going to attack from the right when they attack. Basically, instead of parrying, what you're going to do is whenever an enemy attacks from the left, instead of hitting L2 or whatever it is on mouse and keyboard to parry, you're going to hit your attack button, but you're going to do it from the right side. This can make almost every duel that you do with a sword the easiest thing I've ever seen, and it is some of, if not the best sword attacks you can possibly do. Next tip, this is very generalized, this tip, you're just going to want to go ahead and explore every single area you can in the first map to the fullest. You're going to want to do the second thing in the second map, which is quite a bit bigger. But in the first map, the first area, you're going to want to explore as much as you can. There's a lot of treasure hidden that I didn't cover in this video, a lot of side quests hidden, there's a lot of just encounters hidden, stuff like that. There's just a lot of stuff hidden that will give you a decent amount of Groschen, equipment, and also, most importantly, some fun while you're playing the game. The next tip is going to be the most important for talking to people and getting your skill checks to pass. I've never played a single game that has determined how good of an outcome a conversation has based off of your clothes as much as this game. So what I like to do is I am now in the second area, so I end up having just 2 outfits, one for thievery and then one for fighting and also my charisma outfit. But in the early game, you're most likely going to have a suit of armor for fighting, a charisma outfit, which will be like nobleman clothes and stuff like that, which you can buy from the shopkeeper over in Troskowitz, or you can also end up finding them in some bandit camps. And you're going to want to have a thievery outfit, which is going to have the lowest noise you can possibly get, and also the lowest amount of conspicuousness, and also the lowest amount of like seeability, or whatever they call it in the game. I'm drawing a blank right now. Another big problem early game is getting food. You don't have much Groschen and you don't know where to get food, so I'm going to show you a very easy overturned cart, which is going to be a merchant's cart, and it's going to have dried beef. I think it's 21 dried beef on it, and dried beef basically doesn't spoil, and it also can help, and it also fills your hunger by, I think it's around 20 or 21 points per piece of dried beef you eat. So this is going to be right here on the map. I would recommend grabbing this. There's Saviour Schnapps here as well, some cabbage as well. You can take that too. You're going to want to grab all of that stuff, and then I would recommend saving right away, because I was attacked by bandits here the one time. I didn't die, but you could very well die if you're under equipped or just, you know, not expecting to be attacked and they ambush you. Now with that cabbage that you just grabbed, it should all be pretty fresh cabbage. You're going to want to end up finding Peppa and getting Peppa's sauerkraut. This is going to be some of the best healing items early game you can possibly get, and you can get an infinite amount of it as long as you just have cabbage. So you're going to want to go over to this area, talk to Peppa, tell him that you're not going to turn him in, you know, just calm him down, do a normal conversation with him, and eventually he'll tell you, hey, bring me cabbage, fresh cabbage, not old cabbage, fresh cabbage, and then I will give you some of my special sauerkraut. Every time you eat this, it is going to fill you up by only around 1 nourishment or, hunger, but it's going to heal you over time by 10 health points. This is very useful, especially for early game, because if you have this in your pouch, you can just eat this real quick in the middle of a fight and get 10 health back, say if you're at 20 HP or even 80 HP. This next tip is going to go along kind of with the side quest tip. You're going to want to talk to everyone that you can talk to. A lot of them will give you tips on where quests could be, tips on where items could be, tips on treasure maps, and just tips on where you could buy stuff from a merchant. Say you don't know where the blacksmith is in an area. If you go and talk to the bailiff a lot of the time, he'll tell you where each individual merchant or type of store is going to be. So it can be very useful for first-time players who don't really know where stuff is. Another great tip, and just something to keep in mind, is that all of your player chests, so say you have a permanent room in an inn, there's going to be a bed there where you can save, and also a chest where you can store stuff. These chests are going to be the exact same loot pool across every other chest that is yours, that you own. So the chest in the blacksmith's little quarters inside of Trotsky is going to be the exact same items in there as your chest over in Zelizhov or something like that. So do not worry, you don't have to travel from each individual location going, okay, well, this item's there, because the chests, basically, the best comparison I can give you, work exactly like a Minecraft ender chest. So same loot pool in every single chest. Repair kits are going to save you a lot of money, so I would recommend carrying around a blacksmith kit for your weapons, armor kit for your armor, and also a tailor kit for your clothes, as well as a marksman kit if you're going to be using a bow, and so on and so on. Just carry around every type of armor kit that you can, or at least keep them in chests, so you can just repair your armor for free instead of paying hundreds of groschen to repair, say, a chest piece or something like that. The NPCs in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 are going to react on how bad you smell or how dirty you are, how much blood you have on you. So another great tip would be to wash at troughs, and when you can and you have enough groschen, going to a bathhouse and picking from one of the 3 options. These include taking a bath for yourself and also getting your clothes washed, which will wash whatever clothes you are wearing on you, not every piece of clothing inside of your inventory, getting your wounds healed, so this will regenerate some health, and also taking a bath and getting your clothes washed, and getting your wounds treated, getting your clothes washed, getting yourself washed, and also having a good time with one of the bathmaids. This is going to give you the, I think it's called the Lover's Rest or something like that, buff, which is going to help you a decent amount. I'd recommend doing this every once in a while, not all the time, because it is around 30 groschen to 50 groschen depending on where you are. Can haggle the price down a little bit, but still a decent chunk of groschen for early game. The final tip I have for you is whenever you get a skill book, you're going to want to read it while sitting in your bed. If you sit in your bed while reading it, you're going to get a buff, which is going to be the comfy reader buff or something like that, and it's going to make it so that way you end up getting more skill points out of that studying of that skill book. So it is very important because this will maximize the amount of skill XP you're getting towards that skill. And my final tip before I close off the video is have fun. Just play the game however you want. You don't have to follow every single tip in here. Say you just want to make some groschen. Just follow the tip on the treasures, looting bodies, and stealing. You just want to get Mutt and Pebbles and you don't want to do anything else via a guide. You just want to do it all yourself. Do it. This game thrives the most when you are making your own story and, well, role-playing. It's an RPG. It's a role-playing game. So think of Skyrim, but in my opinion, it's like Skyrim on steroids, because this is quite a meaty experience. The first area, I would also tell you to just take your time, because the first area, I spent around 50 hours in that first area before I even went ahead with any of the further on quests. I did all the side quests I could, and then after I did, the first main quest, I opened up more side quests. I went and did those as well. Take your time, explore the game to your fullest, and play at your own pace. This game is not meant to be played. It can be played, but it's not really meant to be played in some sort of way where it's like you just do the main quest. If that's what you want to do, though, not throwing any shade, just saying you might have a lesser experience due to that, and so maybe it's not the game for you. No game is made for everyone. Keep that in mind as well. Play whatever you have fun with. Anyways, hopefully these tips helped you, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.